Hi, welcome to Divine Breath Yoga. I'm Candace, your yoga tour guide. Let's take a moment to rest together. Today is a slow, gentle, flowing, mat-based practice, but you can always practice on a chair and modify any of the movements. Listen to your body, honor where it's at. Don't push through an ouch, but just work into areas that feel like a good stretch or strengthening. Let's get started. My music today is copyright 2019. It's called Pure Heart by Moritaku, and the link is in my description. So I like to start and end all of my practices by coming to a gentle rest. And sometimes it feels nice to come and lay all the way down on your mat, to melt down like you're sunning yourself on a blanket on a warm summer day, letting your shoulders roll open, your palms flip open, letting your legs flip-flop side to side. So if that sounds like something you'd like to practice, come lay and rest on your mat. But I'm going to stay seated so that I can talk to you for a little bit. And as we seat, we find that comfortable cross-legged or legs out, sinking heavy, relaxing our shoulders, letting our eyes soften. Noticing the breath. Sometimes half the battle is just getting to your yoga practice, making time to rest. And you've made that time. So now let's turn it into a gift. Check in with your body, see where it's at, how it feels. Notice any heaviness or any burdens that your body seems to be holding on to. Those areas that we notice are ones we'll practice gentle kindness with today. Testing out the movement in those areas, not pushing to the point of ouch. And then check in with your mind and your heart and see if there's any heaviness that you're carrying in your mind and in your heart. Take those burdens and we gather them up, we scrunch them into a ball and we set them to the side of our mat. They can wait. Maybe they'll roll away. Maybe you take those burdens and that heaviness and you offer it up to God. God wants to hear that you've had enough, that you need God's help. To take life one breath at a time. And God answers. He says, here you go. Here's some rest. In Matthew 11, verse 28, the Bible writes, come to me, all who are weary or burdened, and I will give you rest. My friends, we have to be willing to receive that gift by emptying out some space, those burdens that we carry around, treasures. To let go of that heaviness, to make space in our heart for that gift of rest. Our yoga practice here is a balance of letting go and filling back up. So let's focus on that breath. Fill up with a nice big breath in. Let it stretch your belly, your ribs up to the shoulders. And give a sigh. Open your mouth, let it go. A few big breaths in and a sigh to let it out. Letting your lips softly close. Give that same big sigh, but out through your nose. into just a nice, gentle flow of a breath in and a nice, slow breath out. When we lay down those burdens and that heaviness, we make space for the gift of light to come into our hearts. So breathe in that divine love. Feel it enter your heart to overflowing, bursting, flowing through your whole body, that love. Breathe in a nice big breath of peace. Let that peace fill you, comfort you, give you rest. And take in a nice big breath of divine joy. Maybe it brings a smile to your face. Joy despite what circumstances might be going on. Joy in the moment, joy in finding rest. We gather that love, joy, and peace into our practice. And we let it flow through us with each breath. And you could just lay here the whole time listening to this 60 beats per minute music and let it calm and soothe you. Today we'll add in some gentle movements. A little wiggle to the fingers and toes, maybe a rabbit scrunch to your nose. And I'm going to come down onto my back now to wake up the spine. If you stay in your chair, feel your back come up along the back of the chair. But coming onto the mat, feel that strength as you bend your knees and push into your feet. And as those feet and legs get their power, they push the waist down to the floor. Lift up the head, neck, and shoulders. Give a wiggle. Stretch that spine down the length of your mat. Slowly let the shoulders come down, the neck stretch long, and the head come to rest. Plant those arms out to the side for balance and strength, pushing onto the hands, into the elbows. A little walk of the shoulders underneath you helps lift the heart. Take in a nice big breath and then push into those elbows, hands. Lift the hips just a little, wiggle them, stretch them down towards your feet, then slowly let the spine lower back down, the tailbone and hips are last to lower. And then adjust your feet now where they feel nice and strong, where they can press your hips into the mat. We're going to play with this belly and lower back. We have a natural gap of different sizes. Every body is built wonderfully. So you want to play with that gap. As you breathe out, feel that belly button push the gap out of your back. And as you breathe in, like a helium balloon lifts your belly up, letting it raise up. So practice that cat-cow movement, the cat arching back. Pulling that breath out, and the breath in, letting it fill and float up. Nice big breath. Come to me, all who are weary, burdened, and I will give you rest. This might be restful enough, just enough movement for your back, but if you'd like to lift a little more, push into the feet, squeeze the knees slightly together but without touching. Push into the elbows, hands. Let the hips just lift up again. That strength in your feet. Nice big breath. Hovering the hips over the mat. With control, rolling out whenever you need, not when I cue. Building a little more if you'd like, that push into the feet, the press into the hands and elbows, keeping the head pressed down, letting the hips press up into a bridge, that strength of the feet, the hips lifting high away from your mat. Nice big breath. Adjusting your feet wherever you need to press that bridge a little higher. Maybe you add more, lifting onto the tippy toes. Always with control, lowering back down, the strength of the feet, the balance, rolling your way back down. Find that gentle stillness. Take a breath to reset. Let your back naturally arch where it's comfortable to be. Let those arms reach up to heaven. Coming to find rest. Let your shoulders relax down. Gentle fist of the hands circling them slowly. Get out those different clicks and pops. Circling the other direction. We'll stretch to the wrist by bringing the palms together, fingertips up, slight bend to the shoulders and elbows, relax down. And like you're pulling a zipper, pulling those hands closer down, and the elbows come out. As the elbows lift, it gives a little more. As the hands lower down toward the belly, feeling that stretch to the breath. And like you've got water on your hands, a flick of the hands and wrists away. Get rid of any of that tension we built up. Sigh, relax the arms back down. Take that reset breath. Hug in one knee, give it a nice squeeze. Feel that pinch in the hip. Flex the toes towards you, kicking out through the heel. Gentle kindness, that breath out. Squeezing it in a little more. Give a circle to that ankle. Circle the other direction. Let that foot come back down. Reset. Feel that nice long spine. Hug in the other knee. Give a sigh, letting out that breath as you hug it a little closer, feeling that pinch in the hip. Maybe adding where you draw the toes back, a little kick through the heel. Letting the stretch come away, that breath out, hugging a little more. Holding it tight. Letting the ankle on this side circle around. Circle the other direction. One last hug in, letting that foot come back down. Hugging in both knees, giving a sigh as you let the legs press onto your belly. The knees come away on that breath in. Squeezing on the breath out. And come away on the breath in. Give a breath out. See if you can squeeze and walk the arms a little further around the front of the legs. Maybe add a little rock from side to side. If that rock feels okay, maybe the rock becomes bigger. You go elbow to elbow, giving a massage to your back. Come back, find stillness. Stretch the head and neck nice and long. We're going to come into happy baby pose. If you know it, you can go into the level that you like, but let's work it in pieces. First by just squeezing the knees out towards the armpits and shoulders. Giving a little draw back of the toes, a kick through the heel. Your baby can rock from here. Or you can add another step. Let the hands squeeze behind the knees, pulling the knees out towards the shoulders. A little kick of the heel up to the ceiling. Our happy baby can kick here. Rock from side to side. Maybe you add more, sliding those hands up into the shins towards the ankles. Giving a gentle pull toward the shoulder. Maybe you take some peace fingers, bring them around your big toes. Use that to pull the legs. Little rock from side to side. Big breath, gentle kindness coming out of the pose whenever you need, rebuilding to the level that's right for you. In yoga, you can always add more. Half happy baby is when one leg kicks to the ceiling, stretching the back of your leg. Use that breath out to welcome in the stretch. Letting those legs come back down, a final nice squeeze in, maybe rolling the head, neck, and shoulders up. With control, stretching, lowering the back down. Letting the feet come to rest. Nice gentle bend to the knees. The arms open up. Take that reset breath. rest a moment. Let the feet inch their ways a little further out, maybe to the edges of the mat if you're practicing with one. Feel the hips nice and strong, pushed down. The shoulders pressed out for balance, the hands down for a little grip. Using that breath out, letting the knees windshield wiper to one side. Breath, they come up. A breath out, letting them windshield wiper to the other side. Now keep those shoulders connected. Letting just the hips and belly do the rocking and the turning. Maybe as the movement becomes a little bigger, you notice your feet turn onto their edges to let the knees fall a little heavier toward the ground. Practice gentle kindness, letting the knees fall just as far to each side as they're able today. And maybe you give a breath out, letting the knees fall heavy to one side, adding a little more by turning, looking away from them, or letting that foot in the lead inch its way back, giving a breath out to gently press the heel onto the knee. Nice big breath wherever you're at. Untwisting from this side, letting the knees come back out, stretching the back nice and long, resetting those feet nice and wide, letting them windshield viper a couple times side to side. And as you're ready, give that nice big breath out, let the knees fall to the other side. Let them get heavy, give up control. Maybe you turn and you look away from those knees, coming to rest on your ear. Or you listen to this side, and if it needs a little more, inch the foot towards the knee. Give a sigh, letting the knee press down with the weight of the heel on it. Nice big breath. Untwisting from this side, bringing the knees back up, giving that reset breath, nice long spine. And press into those nice strong feet, walking them into the center and pressing and turning over onto a side. This is called fetal pose, curling up the knees, bringing the hands under the cheek, finding a gentle rest. Imagining here being held in the palm of God's hand, taking in that divine breath, unconditional love. A breath of peace. Letting that divine joy fill your heart. Maybe bring that smile back. As you're ready, using that hand to push you up nice and tall. Coming into a comfortable seat. That could be with your feet out or your legs long. Maybe it feels all right to crisscross your legs. Clear out that space underneath you, get a nice strong foundation. Another level you could add is stacking your legs like logs, one on top of the other. Listen for the ouch in the knees, the hips. Just come to sit as it's comfortable for you. The hips plant, and like we're planting a seed, that little sprout grows up your spine, out through the top of your head, stretching your spine nice and long. We encourage that sprout to wiggle a little from side to side, pressing on the knees. Using that breath out to push and lean a little more. Maybe letting the shoulder rock in or turning to look up to heaven. Slow breath and movement. Coming back up to find that stillness, the hips plant. Give that wiggle to the spine, almost like you're balancing a book on the top of the head or hugging a grapefruit under your chin. Gives us a nice long neck. Relax the shoulders. Circle them the other direction. Give and take. Give in a big breath, shrugging the shoulders up by the ears. Take away that tension, a nice spaghetti noodle shape. A breath in, build up the tension. The breath out, let it go. Give that that sigh, let the shoulders relax down. They can rest on your lap, palms down to feel grounded, palms up for receiving. Feel that nice lift of your spine. Grapefruit under the chin. Take a breath here. Feel that breath. Stretch the belly, the ribs, up to the shoulders. Feel how it gives you rest as you breathe it all out. Slowly, fully. Maybe using that belly button to squeeze out the last bit of air. Carry tension in the neck. So on your breath out, letting the ear tip toward one shoulder, letting it fall heavy. Play with the tilt of the chin up or down just a little bit. Give a sigh, let it fall heavy to the side. Bring it back up as you're ready. Relax the shoulders, that breath out, letting the ear lean to the other shoulder. Playing with the tilt of the chin up or down. Giving that sigh, letting it lean heavy to this side. Letting it come back up. It's time for the back of the neck stretch. Give a sigh. Let the head nod forward, the chin drop. That next big breath out, let the shoulders melt. Maybe they drop down beside you. And then another breath out, like you're falling asleep. Give up control of the head, letting it nod forward. Letting it raise up, feel that spine nice and long and tall. Reset breath. We all have a favorite leg to cross, so let's cross the other one on top, or if your legs are done being crossed, shake them out and just leave them out in front of you. So again, finding this comfort of your seat on this side. Feel those tailbones plant, the back lift up nice and tall. Relax the shoulders, reset breath. The hands scoop onto the knees. This is giving us our extra leverage as we start what's called a cat-cow movement. On the cat breath out, pull the belly button towards the spine, letting the shoulders curve forward, looking down towards your lap. And on the breath in, the belly pushes forward, the heart arches up. A nice big filler. So on that breath out, curve, roll back, pushing it back, using the grip of those hands on the knees, pulling out that air. Scoop in the elbows, hands powerful on the knees to help lift and curve on that breath in. Slow, exaggerated movements, feeling these muscles that help you bend and stretch your spine. Nice big breath. Back to sit up nice and tall again. We're going to bring those hands to the hips. Like a tea kettle, this gives our strength. The hand pushes for a little extra balance. Push and lean on that breath out. Tea kettle back out from the breath in. Push under the hip, lean on the breath out. Find that balance, the movement with your breath. Hands on the hips might be enough. Or you let the hand come to the ground, a gentle bend to the elbow, a little more lean. Take it slow, adding, taking away whatever pieces you need of the movement. The purpose is to lean side to side. You could add more, letting that arm reach overhead, extending the stretch out through your fingertips. Coming back up, finding rest, planting, finding that strength, maybe that reach overhead. Nice and tall. Relax the shoulders, reset breath. We're going to come to a portion on our knees, but if that's not in your practice, stay seated. And plant your feet in front of you. Let your arms wrap around, let the head drop. Find your rest there. But if you're able, maybe add some padding under the knees with a blanket or a knee jelly. But come onto the knees, And then listen as you push your way back towards the feet. Gentle kindness, you lift up, that breath out, pushing the heels back a little more. Maybe this is where you add a pillow between your feet and legs to sit back on a pillow. But if it feels all right, you're not getting that ouch, come back and sit to the heels. This is turning into child's pose. Sometimes letting the big toes come together and the knees come apart lets room for the belly to lower down. So as you give a sigh, letting the belly lower towards the lap, maybe you just come onto your forearms. You can add a pillow under your head to rest here. If it feels all right, bend those forearms. Give a sigh out, lower a little bit more, letting the forehead rest on those bent forearms. Maybe you can give a sigh and that forehead reaches all the way down to the ground. Take a nice big breath. Maybe let the backs of the hands touch, the palms open up. It's a humble receiving gesture, reaching those hands out to receive that gift of rest. Breathe here. Letting our heads go below our hearts reminds us to come, to give up those burdens, that heaviness, to receive that gift of rest. If you chose to stay seated, the next portion is a shoulder stretch, reaching that arm across, giving a breath out, hugging it in. But from hands and knees, we come into what's called a tabletop first. We reach one hand out, thumb down, watching it as it circles underneath us, scooping, threading the needle through, giving a sigh, resting down onto that shoulder, letting the ear come down to rest, playing with where the hips need to be, to gently rest on the shoulder, threading the needle, letting it rest. Now the hand can stay right on the ground in front of your face, or it can walk out and stretch long to the front of the mat. Maybe you add where that arm comes up and scoops back behind you to the opposite hip, squeezing on, rolling your shoulder open. Resting on this threaded needle arm. As you're ready, unthreading the needle from this side, finding that rest, that balance, reaching the arm out, letting it thread underneath you again, giving that sigh to rest heavy on the shoulder. Letting the hand stay right by the face or walking it out long to the front of the mat. And letting that arm scoop back behind you, squeezing onto the opposite hip, rolling the shoulder open. Unthreading the needle from this side. Now we're going to transition up to standing, and you can do that any way that you'd like, but one way is to find a nice tabletop strength. Curl the toes under, transitioning into a downward dog by walking the hands forward just a little bit, pressing into those strong arms, pressing back onto those curled toes, feeling the knees start to float up off the mat, pushing back towards the heels a little more, pushing the hips up to the ceiling, letting the gaze look back behind you toward the ankles, playing with how far apart the feet need to be, maybe puddling the heels down. Hanging out in this downward dog, feeling that nice push and lift of the hips. Big bend to the knees whenever you need. Transitioning any way that you'd like, bringing the feet to the hands or the hands to the feet. Slowly working your way to find the feet planted, rolling your way up to standing. A nice big breath, shaking out any tension that we might have built up. Feeling those feet connect to the floor. And when we practice a barefoot sport, we don't have those arch supports, so we want to warm up the feet. A little shifting of the weight from side to side. You don't might turn onto the edges of your feet. Be careful if you're going to have an ankle sprain. Use a focus point, something in front of you that's not moving. Not the TV, not the screen. Just a spot on the floor, the wall. Find that gentle rest. Feel your feet, all parts of your feet pressing down, the heels and the toes. Check in with how you feel balanced. If it's with your ankles close together, if it's with a step of the feet apart, or maybe a turn of the toes out to the side. We're building into what's called mountain pose, the foundation of standing. So feel where your feet and legs can grip the strongest underneath you. Press the toes down, the heels down. That strength, that power as we press into the legs, the hips pressing heavy on the legs. Watching that the tailbone isn't tipped back, but that it's nice and lined up. Giving a roll to the shoulders, letting the palms open up. Rolls those shoulders open. And from those connected feet, feel that sprout that wiggles your spine nice and tall out through the top of the head. That balanced book, that grapefruit under the chin. Take a nice big breath here. This strong mountain pose. Come to me. All who are weary or burdened, and I will give you rest. So with that strength, we give thanks for these perfectly imperfect bodies. Feeling that breath of life in us. Let those arms come out to the side into a big hug. Squeeze the shoulder blades back. Pausing here to give thanks to Jesus, who came to earth, who knows how it feels to carry burdens and heaviness. He also taught us the importance of going away, finding a quiet place, finding rest. For that, we give thanks. Listen to your shoulders, and maybe the arms just cactus out to the side, or maybe they scoop up overhead. Reach out through the fingertips, this extended mountain. Here we give thanks for our Creator, for this breath, this gift of life. Open to grace, letting the hands come apart, looking up to heaven, letting the shoulders squeeze a little bit together, small curve to your back. If you need a little assistance, slide the hand in the back pocket, push into the hip. Open to grace. You have that hand in the back pocket, slide the other hand into the back pocket, raise the other arm up. Test out both arms raised overhead. And gather those palms together, prayer hands come down to your heart. Let the shoulders relax. Feel the strength from your feet out through the top of your head. Feel those hands resting at your heart to remind us of that gift, that Holy Spirit dwelling in each of us. That love and joy and peace, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, these fruits of the Spirit, are our gift when we take time to rest, to notice their presence. Start to dance with our breath. We can bring the hands to the hips, a little superhero pose, the strength of the feet. Again, that tea kettle tip on the breath out. Push the hip to the side, look up to heaven, raise up on the breath in, lean and look on the breath out, lean from side to side. And that might be enough. You might let the hands slide down the leg. letting it reach from side to side. Or maybe you test out that overhead reach, adding just how much your body needs to dance with this breath. Come back, find that mountain strength. Take that reset breath. Going to come into a forward bend, but listen to your body. If you start to feel dizzy, raise back up into a nice strong L shape. We feel the feet plant nice and strong, the hands on the hips, almost like someone's holding you from the belt loops, wiggling the knees to keep them loose. Reaching, pushing that tailbone away. The head stretches long, looking out in front of you. Feel that stomach zip in to help protect your back. Gentle bend to the knees. Breath out, you might straighten them up. Practicing that gentle kindness. Maybe it's a big bend to the knees. And that breath out, straightening up. Hands on the hips might be enough. But maybe you give a humble warrior offering, reaching those hands out in front of you. Palms up. Handing off those burdens, that weariness, to receive that gift of rest. If you'd like to bend forward into that forward bend, gather those hands back to the hips to remind you to tip from those pockets. That slow breath, letting the head bow a little more on each breath out. Lift up on the breath in, gentle bend to the knees. Breathing out, maybe letting the hands slide a little further down the back of the leg. Little lift on the breath in, a sigh, letting the head, shoulders relax down a bit more with that breath out. Letting the hands slide. If it feels all right, let the head drop. Give up control. Shake the head, no and yes. To give up control of that head and neck. Maybe you give up the arms, letting them spaghetti noodle ragdoll loose in front of you. Give a little shake. Bend the knees a lot. Let the belly rest on those bent legs. Hanging forward. Nice big breath. Whenever we've been upside down, we slowly transition, first by just looking up ahead of us. Sliding the hands onto the legs, pushing to lift a little more into a half lift. Big bend to the knees. Feel that push into the feet. Slowly rolling from the tailbone back up to standing. That mountain strength, the shoulders relax, reset. Find those feet nice and strong. Maybe a step a little bit wider away from you. Sometimes it feels good to keep the toes pointing forward, and other times it feels a little better to let the toes come out. This is turning into what's called horse pose. The hips are strong, stacked on those legs. A little push of the knees out, lowering down onto that nice tall horse. Adjusting your feet where they need to be. Gentle kindness lifting up. That breath out, letting it sigh back down. Those hands can rest right on the hips. Maybe they cactus out to the side. Stand up whenever you need. Nice big breath. Here's where you can add more. Keeping the rest of your horse still, lifting onto one tippy toe. Letting that heel come down with control. Nice lift onto the tippy toe of the other side. And keep that horse still and balanced. Maybe both heels lift up. And the feet press down nice and strong. The legs come up tall. Into starfish. Make the arms into an X. Press into the feet. That same tea kettle movement. Let your starfish start to melt. You can bend the knees a lot or a little. Let the arms swish. a starfish floating free in the water. You can twist, let the arms swoop, the knees bend, letting the weight shift from side to side. There's no right or wrong. Feeling that energy and strength in your feet, your legs. Nice big breath. Dry that starfish back out, pushing through the feet, reaching through the hands. Bringing the hands to your heart, giving that reset signal. Check in with your body. See how it's feeling. Before we come to rest, we want to give it any gentle movements, any wiggles, any relaxing movements that it needs before you come to rest. And again, you can stay seated, or you might come onto your back, hugging those knees in, giving them a nice tight squeeze. Letting the head, neck, shoulders stretch back out nice and long. Playing with that gap in your back by lifting the hips, stretching the spine nice and long, letting it come to rest. And the shoulders roll out, walk underneath you, backs of the hands touch. Take a breath, check in. Those knees can stay bent, maybe the feet walk out to the edges and the knees tent in to lean on each other. Maybe you slide in a pillow somewhere for comfort. Maybe you just send those legs out in front of you, letting the legs wiggle loose, the feet flip-flop. Take in a nice big breath. Close your eyes. Melt back down to that relaxed state of just breathing. Feel that breath. And don't stop your practice here. This is where we seal in the goodness. Feel that breath of life fill you. Add in a little more breath, deeper, full breath in, slow breath out. Feel that tickle of air as you breathe in and let it go. Come to me. All who are weary or burdened, and I will give you rest. You could pause the video here and keep this breath meditation going. That quiet time to balance and restore your body, mind, and soul. Because our practice doesn't end here. It goes with us. Take these mindful breaths, gentle, kind movements throughout our day. Although our practice here is ending, it goes with you. For that, we're thankful. So to signal that body to start to come out from this gentle rest. Wiggle the fingers and toes. Helping movement into the hands and legs, feet. Slowly bending the knees to press into those feet. Gently, kindly pushing yourself curled into the side, into that fetal pose. Savoring that gentle rest. Giving thanks for time well spent. Renewing your body, your mind. Gently pushing your way up to a comfortable seat. Finding where you can sit comfortably. Relax the shoulders down. Let that spine grow tall. Use the partner practice where we give thanks. We gather those hands to our heart and we give thanks. Give thanks for that divine presence, the love, joy, and peace that we carry in our hearts with each breath. And as we hold and treasure those lights within us, that's when we're able to start to notice the light in others. That divine spark, that goodness in each of us. I see that divine light, that goodness in you, and I give thanks for it. Peace be with you, my friends. We bow to each other, giving thanks, taking time to rest together. Until we practice again, be well.